Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting in a Fan. Anyway, so I promised the wonderful Arwen Lynch, who is Ember Honey Raven's personal tarot reader, that I would record a video before midnight tonight. It is currently 11:56 p.m. on what's soon going to be Thursday, October 8th, but is currently Wednesday, October 7th, 2015. And so, as most of you know, I recently led and rather completed leading my very second as opposed to my very first Goddess course, which was entitled Goddess to the Next Level. And it's amazing how many cool things happened in the participants' lives and in my life during that course. So, when it comes to goddesses, one of my personal favorite goddesses across the board are mother goddesses. And I think a lot of it stems from not having, I'm sorry, I have an itch and it must be scratched. And it's on my foot, which is why I'm in this position right now. Anyway, I could have paused it, but you know, I like the oneers, you know, the one-take videos. Alright. So like I was saying, so my closest friends know that with me, there's usually a story behind everything. So I remember it was Mother's Day this year. And let me give you the exact date. So it was Sunday, May 10th, 2015. I had attended a social gathering in a section of Queens, and I was with a good friend who's like a personal hero to me, and I had a coupon for 20% off at Barnes & Noble booksellers. So, you know, I've often said that I need a new book or a new deck like I need a hole in the head. But does that stop me from buying a new book? No. Does it stop me from buying a new deck? Hell no. So what I did was I went to a nearby Barnes & Noble bookseller store, took my 20% off coupon, and since I'm a member I received an additional 10% off, and I purchased this. The Mother's Wisdom deck. Now, I gotta tell you something. Because my username on a lot of different social media platforms is the Tarot Man, it's very rare that I encounter a deck, whether it's a tarot deck or a divination deck or an oracle card deck that I'd never heard of before. So when I saw this deck, I thought to myself, oh well, it must be new. Haha, yeah right. The deck was published in 2012, not new. It was written by Nikki well, I'm going to pronounce it Duarte, and Elizabeth Marjolin, with illustrations by Jenny Kostecki-Shaw. And it was published by Sterling Ethos, which is an imprint of Sterling Publishing, New York, New York. Now here's what's interesting about this. So here I was leading this goddess course, knowing full well that the mother aspect of the goddess is the one is the one that draws me the most. Meaning that of all of the different goddesses there are, I find myself more close, more connected to mother goddesses. Even my own personal goddess, Osset, who's more commonly known as Isis, is a mother goddess. She is the mother of Heru, or Horus, who is the golden child. And I find myself connected to other goddesses that happen to be mothers. You know, I have a strong affinity with Oshun, who's the Afro-Caribbean goddess of all things that flow. Now, it just so happens that she is a mother. She is the mother of the Ibeji, who are the sacred twins. I never knew that about her. I always thought, because I was told that if I was in the religion that's commonly called Santeria, my mother would be Oshun. Now, for those of you who know very little about Santeria, or for those of you who know a lot about Santeria, I am what is called an aleyo, which means that I am an uninitiated devotee of the Orishas. They are very sacred to me, and of course, being Cuban and having a late maternal grandmother's maternal grandmother who was a black woman, I know that African blood runs in my Caribbean veins. I know I look very light-skinned. I can't help that, but I know there's... Well, can I be real with y'all? There's a black-ass bitch in this body. Yes, I said it. Because you know what? Sometimes I feel like a black-ass bitch. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Because every once in a while somebody tries to be up in my face. And I'm like, oh, why are you going to do that? Don't do that. Let's be nice to each other. Anyway, so let me get back on topic. So, I was surprised that this was a deck that I'd never heard of. I was not surprised that it was the one copy of this deck in this particular Barnes & Noble bookseller store. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised because, since my human mother lives in Tennessee, and since she and I are not very close, usually I spend Mother's Day with my personal goddess, my celestial mother. But every once in a while, she lets me spend time with other people on Mother's Day, which is still kind of unusual for me, because normally I stay at home and light candles to her and tell her how much I love and adore her, and light incense to her, and that's my Mother's Day. Anyway, so what I love about this deck, and I'm going to read a little bit of the introduction, because especially for those of you who are mothers of human children, it makes a lot of sense. So this is from the introduction. There is a card deck for just about everything under the sun, from angels and chakras to feng shui and zen. But why, we wondered, was there not a deck for the ubiquitous path of mothering? After all, no other practice so deftly merges the transcendent with the tedious. And mothers, we would be the first to admit, are desperately in need of guidance. So we conceived the Mother's Wisdom deck to honor the daily rites of mothering and to offer inspiration for this lifelong journey. The deck meets mothers wherever they are on the path, losing it or loving it, and gives them permission to call forth their inner wisdom. Now I gotta admit, that first paragraph really impressed me, because there are a lot of decks, tarot decks and divination decks and oracle card decks on so many different themes, so many different topics, so many different foci, which is the plural of focus. And there are decks all across the board about goddesses and gods and angels and fairies and chakras and celestial beings and elements and this and that and this and that and this and that and the other thing. And yet there was no deck that focused specifically on the path of motherhood, except for this one. So what I love about this deck is that it has spreads, spreads that I've never seen before, spreads that I've seen before, but they have different names. I will tell you a little bit about this deck. So it has 4 suits: the natural mother suit, the animal mother suit, the ancestral mother suit, and the divine mother suit. My personal favorite suit is the divine mother suit, because it depicts different goddesses. For example, Amaterasu, who is the Japanese goddess of the rising sun. And of course there is a card that depicts my celestial mother. Interestingly enough, I've met a lot of people that are connected to these different divine mothers. I have a regular client who, in honor of her sobriety, or rather the anniversary of her sobriety, she avails herself of a private prosperity class with me during the anniversary month of her sobriety. And she is very connected to White Buffalo Calf Woman. I love Oshun, who for me is another one of my celestial mothers. And there is another goddess here that draws me, because she is a full moon goddess as well. Her name is Ishel, and she is a Mexican goddess of healing. She is also a Mexican goddess of midwifery. And then, of course, there's Quan Shi, who is the Chinese goddess of mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. I often refer to her as the Mother Mary of the East. I could always say the Mother Mary of the Orient, but then again, Orient is Latin and it means east, or rather comes from the Latin word orientis, meaning east. But anyway, the animal mother suit depicts different animals that are what I would call the animal familiars of different goddesses. You have the bear, which is connected to Artemis and Diana. You have the butterfly, which is connected to another Native American goddess who is oh my goddess, I forgot her name. Butterfly Maiden. Butterfly Maiden. You have the deer, which is connected to some goddess that I don't know the name of offhand. You have the dolphin. Now here's what's interesting about the dolphin. Dolphins are one of the other animals, other than human beings, that have sex purely for pleasure, in addition to procreation. And of course, dolphins are sacred to Aphrodite and her Roman sister counterpart Venus. Big shock. You have the owl, which is connected to many different goddesses, including Hecate. So I'm going to show you some of the cards. I love this deck. I'm still working with it. I'm still attuning myself to it. I have yet to give a reading with this deck. I love that they are borderless. There aren't, those of us that collect decks, we know that there aren't that many borderless cards. So I'm going to show you some of my personal favorites. So given that I am a Moon Magic Witch, I love the Moon card. I'm going to toss a little more light. I will eventually get the lighting part. Yeah, but that's a little bit better, because you can see a little more detail. Here's the Mountain card. Ocean. Pearl, which looks like a full moon. Rainbow. And here is Oshun's River. And in honor of one of my favorite people on the planet, Shell. Right, Shell? She knows who she is. I love this one. Tree of Life. Okay. So here you have Horse, which certainly would remind me of the continental Celtic goddess Epona. I usually refer to a goddess as continental Celtic if she was worshipped in Britain when it was occupied by Rome. One of my favorite animals, the lioness. I do have a strong affinity with Sekhmet, who is the Egyptian lioness-headed goddess of magic, prophecy, carnal lust, healing, and the scorching heat of the sun. Snake. And of course, this card depicts the snake with an image of the Cretan snake priestess. Swan. And I love the swan because it reminds me of Sarasvati, who is the Hindu goddess of creativity, the arts, and eloquence. If my memory serves me correct, in the Native American cosmology, the turtle represents Mother Earth. Very appropriate for a mother-themed divination deck. And, of course, I love this card because it also speaks to a part of my Latin American heritage, curandera. Curandera translates as healing woman or healer woman. Curandero would be the masculine counterpart. I love this image of Mary, as in Mary the Blessed Mother, because I know this image to be La Virgen de Guadalupe, who is definitely Mexico's Mother Mary. Some of you may not know this, but the Pythia was the title that was given to the Oracle of Delphi. I happen to love the word Pythia. Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba was skilled in many magical arts, including moon magic. Queen Victoria. And then we come to the Divine Mothers. This is a goddess that has become very sacred to me. Bríd, or Brigid, the Irish goddess of divine healing, divine inspiration, and divine prosperity. Lady Isis. Or rather, in this card, Mother Isis. Look at Oshun. Is she not fierce? Pachamama, who is an Incan goddess of the earth. She is a goddess of wholeness, of holiness, and of healing. Kali Ma. Kali Ma is a divine mother. She really is. And I love referring to her as Kali Ma. You know, I remember years ago reading something, and I'm going to say it was a book, probably a goddess book. And in the goddess book, it said that for those people who want to have a feminine counterpart, or rather a divine feminine counterpart of Om, they can chant Ma. Guanxi. Her name is pronounced so many different ways. Guanxi is the Chinese pronunciation, and it is as close to pronouncing it correctly in Chinese as I can get as a non-Chinese person. But I've also heard Kunyan, I've heard Kuan Yin, Lakshmi. Makes me want to throw coins. One of the most beloved of goddesses of wealth and opulence. And, of course, White Buffalo Calf Woman. The back of the card depicts, what are these things? If I blinded you, I'm so sorry. I don't know, but there's some kind of flower pattern. Let me see if I can... Maybe you can see it like that? Okay. So I look forward to continuing to work with this deck. I look forward to continuing to learn from it, study it, work with it. You know, it's interesting because I have, on a personal note, I have 3 planets in Capricorn: Sun, Mercury, and Venus. The polar opposite of Capricorn is Cancer, which in Western astrology is the sign of the mother, both the human mother and the divine mother. And what I'm going to say about this deck is that it also can help those people who need mother healing, who need healing from either bad relationships with their human mothers, or if they'd ever had a falling out with their celestial mother. I don't talk about it that often because it's a done deal for me, but there was a time when I felt as though my celestial mother had forsaken me. I was completely incorrect about that, but at the time that's exactly how I felt. The box is very compact. it really is like a kit. So, you can take it with you. And of course, you open it, and if you want to travel lighter, you can slide out the book like this and take out the deck, and then you can just keep this on the bookshelf or whatever. I really... and it's so funny because I do need to thank two mothers that I have thanked before, namely Owl Moon 513 and Avalon Spiritual Odyssey, because they both happen to be mothers of children, although I think Owl Moon 513 only has one child, and I believe his name is Vincent. And Avalon of Avalon Spiritual Odyssey, which I'm forever calling Avalon Spiritual Journey for some bizarre reason, even though I know it's Avalon Spiritual Odyssey. She has 2 or 3, I think it's 3 now, and the youngest is a daughter. So I want to thank them because I certainly thought of them with regards to this deck. And I'm also going to acknowledge Ember Honeyraven. I do not believe that Ember Honeyraven is the mother of a human child, but there is a loving maternal quality about her that is absolutely quite evident in all of her videos. And I was very happy to watch her most recent video with her wonderful tarot reader Arwen Lynch. And it's funny because I was happy to see Ember happy. Today was one of those days where I had a lot of difficulty getting it together. I was just like, I didn't want to do anything, and I was feeling very frustrated, and I was feeling I was having difficulty getting motivated to like really do things today. I did get everything I needed to get done, but I must tell you that watching Ember Honeyraven's newest video, especially given seeing her so happy and so at peace and so excited to be alive and excited to be in Las Vegas, it lifted my spirits. So I hope that for all of you watching this video, which I think is my longest video to date, it lifted your spirits. If you purchase the Mother's Wisdom deck, please let me know, and if you are considering buying it, let me know that too. And also, you know what, if actually I'm going to put it out there, because that would be nice as a YouTuber to do, right? Right. So if there are any decks that you want me to review, and I happen to have them, or if acquiring them is not going to cause me any difficulty or hardship, leave it in the comments. And actually, because I have 3 beautiful feline daughters, and because I happen to love cats in general, I am looking forward to reviewing some cat-themed tarot decks. So that is coming up. I will tell you right now, one of them, I'll show you, is this one. It is called the Cat's Eye Tarot. Now, I happen to love this deck, and I'll tell you why. Aside from the fact that it was published by Llewellyn Worldwide, no, I'm sorry, it was published by US Game Systems. What I love about this deck is that it was both created and illustrated by a feline veterinarian. Now, how intelligent and how cool is that? You know, this is somebody who treats cats, and only cats, medically and professionally. And she's obviously a talented artist. And she did indeed illustrate this deck. Every card in Cat's Eye Tarot tells a story, illustrated from a feline point of view. I love this deck. I've wanted this deck for a while, and it's actually one of 3 or 4 cat-themed tarot decks that I have, and that I love. So this is a future YouTube video. I've worked with this deck. I love this deck. I love all of the different cats that are on it. Well, almost all of them. Some of them, you know, I just can't. Goddess forgive me, I've seen the furless cats, and I can't look at them for a long time. I forgot which card depicts a furless cat. The fact that I would not remember doesn't surprise me. But this is going to be reviewed in a future video, and I really love this. I mean, of all of my feline-themed tarot decks, this is my personal favorite. You know, I'm very impressed by the intelligence of it. You know, I'm impressed with the creativity of it. But that's for another video. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed my review video of the Mother's Wisdom deck by Nikki Duarte and Elizabeth Marjolin, with illustrations by Jenny Kostecki-Shaw. And I would love to hear your thoughts on if you have this deck, if you've worked with this deck, if you're thinking of buying this deck, if now you are going to buy this deck because Robert Alvarez, the psychic, which reviewed it in a video, etc. And of course, if you want me to review other videos in the future, please let me know. Now, just a caveat, you know, September through December is the busiest time of the year for me, and I do have some things coming up, not only next week but the week after that, and I think yeah, and of course in early to mid-November. So if I don't get to this right away, now you know why. So for now, I thank you for honoring who I am and what I do. I wish you and yours many, many blessings. Thank you, YouTube, and good night.